Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is undefeated amateur prospect Anthony Chung. Hello, Anthony. How are you?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm good. And in September, you won. Actually, I think that's really good, really big fight against Alan Gonzalez, who actually was a Fury FC flyweight champion. And if you can tell me, how did you feel after such a big win on amateur scene?
Yeah, Alan. That guy was a tough fight. 24-hour notice for that guy. Pretty much the backstory to that was my original opponent, who I was supposed to fight. As I was getting onto the plane, my manager Jason, he let me know. He's like, "Hey, your opponent pulled out," and so I was super bummed out because I was literally boarding the plane, heading over to to Houston, Texas, to fight for Fury. And so the whole plane ride, I was just bummed out, thinking like, oh man, like this is the day, this is right before the fight. Like this, like I needed at least, I wanted to get as many fights as possible in this year. So the year was closing out, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I'll be able to get another fight before the year closes out. Like I need this fight. And I was with three other of my teammates that were fighting: Anthony Cruz, Josh Cruz, and Sear Sanjar. We were all fighting on the same card together, and they could tell I was just bummed out the whole plane ride. Just they were trying to cheer me up, like, "Hey, don't worry, like this is God's plan. Everything will pan out. Like they'll get you an opponent. Don't worry about it." And Jason told me, "Hey, do we still want to make the weight cut to 125, or do we want to just scratch the card since your opponent pulled out and just go out there, support your boys?" And I'm like, man, I might as well. I'm out here. I might as well just make the weight, and hopefully, God willing, somebody pulls out of another fight, and I'll be able to get replaced and put it back onto this card. And so I'm going through the weight cut, and this is Friday. Cut about cut a couple pounds, and leading into Saturday morning, because Fury does fights differently than any other promotion I fought for. Their weigh-ins were a lot earlier. The fights start a lot earlier. So by the time we were done fighting, I walk outside expecting it to be night outside, and I'm like, oh man, it's still daylight. Like we still have the rest of the day to hang out in Houston. But Saturday comes around, and I have maybe 2, 3 more pounds to lose. It's about almost 8 o'clock. Weigh-ins were at 9 in the morning, and I'm laying there wrapped up in towels. Just oh man, like there's only an hour left. Like there's no way somebody's gonna be pulling out. And so I'm sitting there like, man, like I'm about to be on weight. Like this sucks. Like I did all this weight cutting for no reason, and thankfully, Benson Henderson, who courted me in that fight, he came into the room, and he just looks over at me, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to fight for a title fight?" And I'm like, "No way." I'm like, "Okay, let's go." And then he's like, "Yeah, I guess the challenger pulled out for the co-main event." And I'm like, "Oh my God, like this is God's planning. This is if I didn't go through with this weight cut, I wouldn't have never fought. I would have never gotten that opportunity." And I was just being so grateful. Like, no, this is my moment. Like I have to go out there, and I have to take this fight. And so I'm like, okay, let's go. And we're like, okay, let's get the last couple pounds off. So we go down to the workout room that was downstairs, and I'm on the treadmill cutting in my last couple pounds. And one of my teammates, he comes in, and he's like, "Hey, you might as well just get off the treadmill." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, they want to do a catch weight at 130. And so it wasn't going to be for the title, but regardless, I could care less about the title as long as I got a fight. That's all I cared about. And so I got off the treadmill. I'm like, all right. So we go over, weigh in, and then the people are telling me, "Oh, you have to gain a little bit of weight. Like you're too off." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So I'm like, okay, I pound some water, and they're like, "No, you gotta be, can you hit at least 129?" And I'm like, all right. So I chug some more water. I was so happy, man. Like, you know, dehydrated and everything. Water was everything. So we finally make weight, and did the pictures, the photos. We got some pho afterwards, after the weigh-ins, and we did the face-offs, and we I didn't even know who my opponent was. I didn't know the guy. I never watched any of the dude's fights. I know he had fought a bunch of times this year, and they were pretty much all with Fury based off his tapology. But yeah, I wasn't able to the film study the guy. I didn't know what he was good at, what he was bad at. The only thing I could really base off his fighting style was a short clip that Fury had posted of him and a previous opponent. And so I pretty much had to run off that. But we did the face-offs, and I could tell he was game. I could tell he really wanted to fight, because as soon as we locked eyes, it was like, man, neither of us are gonna back down right now. Neither of us are gonna look away. And the promoter, he was like, okay, guys, face forward. You know, we got to take the photos. And even facing forward, we're still locking eyes with each other. We're not looking away. And I could tell it was gonna be a good fight.
So in this case, you definitely didn't have like much time for watching like videos of your opponent. And in your previous fight, did you ever have a chance to watch fights of your opponents? Because sometimes on the like amateur scene, it's sometimes really hard to find like even like highlights of the fighter.
Yeah, but all my previous opponents, I was able to film study them. Like the dude I fought before, the guy from Fury, this guy named Perillo. I don't know how you say his last name, but he was coming out of Max Holloway's gym out in Oahu. That was for Front Street fights, and I knew off his fighting was just, you know, pure wrestler, just trying to take you down, grind you out, tire you out. So I knew I had to be really on point with my takedown defense. I knew he wouldn't really want to strike a bunch. So my whole game plan was, okay, every other guy he fought previously, he had taken down, grinded out, got them tired, and they all just played jiu-jitsu off their backs. And, you know, these amateur rounds, 3-minute rounds, they go by so fast that you can't afford to do that, you know? You play jujitsu on your back, that's the whole round, and you lose that round. So I'm like, okay, if he takes me down, I have to be able to get right back up. I have to strike with him. I have to piece him up. I have to let the judges know that I'm doing a lot of damage here. I'm resisting the takedowns. I'm stuffing some of the takedowns, but I'm also getting right back up and going right back at my pace, doing damage. So yeah, every opponent that I've fought previously, I was able to do a really good study on. But this last fight was just, it was a different mentality going in there. Just thinking like, okay, you know what? Just trust your training, and you know, essentially whatever happens, happens for this one. But just believe in your training, and go out there and perform, and know that you're supposed to be here.
And actually, before you had two really quick finishes in the first round, but also probably like the decision fights are also good for you because you, in the end, you spent a time in the cage against really, really good opponents because both like Tyler and Alan are really good fighters. So in the end, probably it's like also like evidence, like proof for you that you definitely can not only hang with this kind of fighters, but also beat them.
100%.
And because right now we are probably one of the best amateur flyweights in the US. Actually, on topology, you are, I believe, like number 14. So it's definitely a really good like position. But do you think that you will fight again like in as the amateur, or do you plan to go pro soon?
No, my next fight is definitely pro. This last fight taught me a lot, knowing that even the fight before that, that I can go the distance, but also because I got hit with a pretty good shot in that last fight. But knowing that I can recover really good, knowing I can get back on my feet, continue the fight, and essentially grind out a fight and put the pressure back on my opponent. I know I'm ready for the pro, and I've seen a lot of the local pros, especially here in Arizona, outside of the MMA lab, and I look at their skill set and I look at my skill set, and I'm like, you know what? I'm like, if these dudes are pro and they're getting finishes, like, come on, there's no way that I can't do this. Especially, you know, they're making money, and I'm like, man, skill for skill set, I dominate these guys 100%. So it's my time. I know I'm ready.
And about like MMA Lab, because it's like for so many years, it's one of the best gyms in the world.
Mm.
So how did you get to this gym?
How did I get to this gym?
Yes, yes.
Essentially, so I started training out in Gilbert, Arizona at Power MMA. That gym was ran by Ryan Bader at the time, and it was a really giant facility. And I trained there for maybe, I'll probably say about 3 years I trained there until it closed down. But my coaches down there, Danny Brandt, he was a really good Muay Thai coach out in Arizona. And Clayton Carpenter, who actually he's a in the UFC, he's a flyweight in the UFC. He was actually originally my jiu-jitsu coach when I first had started training. So the fact that he trains out in the MMA lab too now is just it's a full circle. It's such a crazy roller coaster knowing that where I came from and where we ended up together. And pretty much how I got to the MMA lab was when I was training out in Power. I got a couple kickboxing fights, a couple Muay Thai fights out there, and then they ended up closing down. So I'm like, oh man, like I need to find a gym. Um, and obviously everyone knew what the MMA lab was in Arizona, so it was a no-brainer. As soon as the Power MMA closed down, I'm like, okay, this is the place I gotta be. I went down there for a couple of days. I met John Crouch. I met some of the people that were training down there, and right off the back, um, really humbling when you know people can beat you up pretty good and you're not used to it. So I'm like, okay, I'm like, this is the place I need to be. This is the place that'll get me better. And so yeah, I've been there. I got there at 20. I want to say it was probably 2018, somewhere around there, where I first started training with just the everyday hobbyist people to getting onto the pro team, and then yeah, it's been history since.
Yes, and definitely it is one of the best gyms in the world. And even right now, like Jose Delgado is, I think that one of the best like up and coming featherweights, like even prospects in the UFC. So
Hmm.
definitely in this kind of gym, your like level of skills in every area will progress really, really quick.
Oh yeah, with these kind of guys, Jose Delgado, Marcus McGee, Kyler Phillips, just people in the top rankings, especially. Like I'm pretty sure Kyler and Marcus are like top 15, top 10, something like that in the 135. We got so many killers, Jared Cannonier, a lot of people that are about to hit the UFC. So yeah, man, we just have nothing but straight killers in our room, and no day at the MMA lab is an easy day. Easy day. Every day you're going in there, and it honestly, to be 100% honest with you, going in there on a sparring day, it you get more nervous than the actual fights. Like man, like if you saw some of the scraps at the MMA lab, you'd be like, man, these are like pay-per-view fights. These are fights that no one gets to see but me, and it's such a privilege being able to see all of it go down. And yeah, like I said, when you spar with people like these, when you train with people like these, it just builds so much confidence in yourself that when you go into the actual fight, you know you're ready. You know you're about to kill. So
And when I watched your fights, I saw that you are like very good in all areas. You know when to strike, when you take a fighter on the ground. But in your opinion, what is like the best tool in your skill set, and the one that you should improve, let's say?
my best skill. I mean, I'd probably say my mindset, knowing that I can study somebody and take it piece by piece, even if they look like a superstar out in the cage. You know, even if they showboat in their fights or they just look like godly in their fights, I know I can break down a fight to the very minimal aspect of everything and just their skill set. I can break it down so good to know that okay, they might be better than me here, there, whatever, but I know at the end of the day, I can study these people and I can break down their game plans. I can break down how comfortable they are in the cage, where they're not comfortable. I can break these guys down so good that I know I can get the victory. But if I say something that I want to personally improve on in my game, it would probably be, man, I I'd probably say overall letting my hands go just a little bit more. I probably say in the beginning of fights, I tend to not be hesitant, but I feel like I feel out my opponent a little too much, and just being able to sometimes break that and just give them a lot of pressure to see what they give me off of that. I'd probably say that's something that I'm working on currently, especially with my boxing coach, Ivan, who runs No Excuse Boxing Gym out in Arizona. He's been helping me night and day with getting my hands sharper, my combination sharper, my power stronger. So, so that's something I'm currently working on that to improve in my game.
And of course, like MMA LAB is famous because of many things, but definitely also because of Benson Henderson. And do you have a maybe like favorite moment of his career?
So when I was growing up, me and my parents used to go over to my uncle's house and we used to watch UFC fights, but I was probably like a 11, 12-year-old kid at the time, and I was super big into skateboarding, and I didn't ever watch fighting. I knew who, like, obviously Mike Tyson was, Muhammad Ali, like everyone, their household names. Everyone knows who those people are, but I remember, and it's funny that you say that because I actually told Ben about this story um, when we were out in Houston, Texas, and we all got pho together, and we were chatting it up for a couple hours there. But I was telling him a story of when I used to go to my uncle's house, and I remember this distinctly, this guy with, big angel wing tattoos blasted on his back. And I think he was fighting. I think a couple of his fights I saw beforehand. It was Brandon Thatch and Clay Guida. And I remember I saw those fights live at my uncle's house, and I remember my dad going crazy and my uncle going crazy. My uncle is in the police force. He's retired now, but he was a sheriff in the police force. And he used to tell me like all the time, oh, like Benson stopped by and said hey to everyone, and like, because Benson's a huge fan when it comes to first responders. But yeah, my uncle would just tell me stories like, yeah, I met Benson today and blah blah blah. And yeah, so just seeing Benson fight as a little kid, not knowing that this is what my career was going to be in the future, and then going from that to, oh my God, like he's cornering me in a fight. He's helping me with my weight cuts. Like this is such a full circle moment. It's really unreal, real. It's like meeting it's like your idols or your um I guess someone who's like a celebrity in your eyes ends up you know them personally, so it's a full circle moment, and I probably say that's something that I'll remember forever.
Yes, and he had so many great fights, and I think that especially like the Brandon Touch fight was kind of crazy because he Benson was like much smaller, and he was
Yeah.
able to submit him. So it was a like super crazy moment.
Hmm. And one more thing off that too was I remember in the weight cut room when we were cutting weight in our hotel room, and I was asking him all these questions like, where did you come up with the calf kick? Because he was like the only dude I first ever saw throwing the calf kicks, especially against fights like with Nate Diaz and people like that, and asking him, where'd you come up with that? Oh, where'd you come up with punching someone in the thigh like in a fight? That's crazy. I've never, even to this day, you don't ever see somebody punching somebody to the thigh. Such a like a weird technique that you would never see. But um utilizing the calf kicks myself, like in my last fight, I dropped the guy with calf kicks blasting, spamming the calf kicks, and I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, but yeah, just taking some moves that some of the people I watched growing up use in the UFC cage to taking it taking taking it with me personally in my own fights.
And also, I saw on your Instagram like quite interesting photo because it was photo with Polish light heavyweight Tomasz Narkun. It was from a few years ago. And
Yeah.
if you can tell me what was the story behind this kind of picture, because I'm not gonna lie, I was quite surprised.
Yeah, so Tomas, I remember when I met that guy, I was training out in New Mexico and I was training over at Jackson Wink MMA out in New Mexico, and they have a whole kitchen area upstairs. They had dorm rooms upstairs. Like it was pretty much like a university, you know. And I remember I was just laying on the couches upstairs in the kitchen, and I never knew who Tomas was. He walked into the kitchen, just a giant Polish man, thick accent, and I remember he came up to me, he introduced himself, and I was like, oh, whoa, like okay, like I didn't really um expect him to introduce himself like that to me, especially like when you see someone you don't really know just lying there on the couch. And so we introduced to each other, and we started hanging out outside of the gym. We would go to downtown Albuquerque. Um, and we used to just like train at night together because I used to work at a pizza shop out in New Mexico, and I used to have to close every night. So as soon as I get done closing, um, I go back to Jackson Wink. I'd be hitting the bag, and Tomas used to stay up really late, and I would always see him out hitting the bag or having somebody he pulled from the side, like working on some sort of combination or technique or something. And we ended up just being good friends, just out in and outside of the gym. He's just a super, super cool guy, super humble guy, and you don't expect that a lot from someone who's the Polish champion. You feel like a lot of people that are, big time names, champions in their organizations, they kind of come off like they're supposed to be, I don't know, like they're supposed to be these big celebrities that don't have the time of day for you. But yeah, he's just a really down to earth dude, and but a killer inside the cage. So, but that picture, I was like, Tomas, let's get a picture because I remember I was going back home. This is um, I want to say this was before Christmas, maybe a little bit before Christmas. I told him I was gonna go home, and I was like, let's just take a quick picture. He's like, okay, okay, no, let's go, let's go. And then so yeah, but no, Tomas is a super cool guy.
And this is why this sport like MMA is great, that it can connect people from like different countries, different backgrounds, and it can be like even like something like friendship or something like this.
Oh yeah, especially when you meet people that are coming from not just out of state, out of country, just either training at your gym temporarily. You get to see a lot of new faces, but you get to see a lot of new styles too, and the way that every country seems to have its own style. Like UK people, they're known for their striking, or like the Russians, they're known for their wrestling, and but you also get to see how good is their striking, or you know, when I was out in New Mexico, a whole bunch of people from all over the world used to come over there, like people from Mongolia, people from Russia, people from Africa. And so you get to see all these new body types and these new styles, and I feel like that also helps me um, with my game and when it comes to MMA, because I used to have to spar a lot of these people, and you get to see what you need to work on, but you also get a good feel of, okay, if I have to fight someone in the future that is coming from this country, you know what do most of these people like to do? Like I said, like Russian people, everyone knows their game plan is wrestling and taking you down. And the UK people, it's a lot of feints, a lot of just really crisp striking. And so, but it was super eye-opening being able to see all walks of life in one room.
And I have one last question. If you can be a UFC matchmaker and book one fight from like current roster of the fighters, which fight would you like to see?
John Jones and Tom Aspinall, 100%. When I was in New Mexico and John Jones was still training there at Jackson Wink, I used to just be freaking out because I would see him at the most odd hours. He would come in sometimes 2, 3 in the morning with his whole entourage of coaches and training partners, and just like kind of hearing the back game plans of what he was going to do. I remember I stopped in to Jackson Wink back when he was fighting Gustafsson the second time, and I remember afterwards, I got done hitting the bag or hitting some mitts, and I went to go take a shower. And I'm in the shower stalls, and then I hear John Jones come in, and he's with his jiu-jitsu coach. And John's taking a shower right next to me, and his jiu-jitsu coach and him are just chatting it up. And he didn't hit it in the fight, so I feel like now I can say it since he beat Gustafsson and that fight's over with. But I remember I'm in the shower and I'm overhearing everything they're saying, and John Jones is just going, "Yeah, you know what, coach? Like, uh, I feel like I'm gonna hit it on him." And then his jiu-jitsu coach is like, "Oh, he's like, John, you're ready. Like, you can dominate him from any position." And then John was like, "Yeah, coach, I'm telling you, like I've been hitting those arm bars so nice, and I'm telling you, I'm gonna catch him in that arm bar." And I'm sitting there in the stall, and I'm just like, "Oh man, like this is crazy. Like he's gonna armbar Alexander Gustafsson." It didn't end up going that way, but it was still a big trip being able to hear somebody fighting such a high profile fight like that and hearing the game plan behind it. But yeah, if I was a matchmaker, I'd have to say John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Everybody wants to see it. It's the heavyweight championship, the best heavyweight versus the best heavyweight, and hopefully they do it at the White House. That'd be insane. But if not, somewhere down the line, it has to happen, I feel.
Yes, yes, I would agree definitely that it's like the best fight in heavyweight division for like many years.
Mm.
Okay, Anthony, so many thanks for the time and for conversation. I hope that your next fight will be as exciting as your previous one, and I hope that you will be also be a busy fighter next year.
100%. I want to crank out at least 3, 4 fights, build up a good undefeated pro record, get some highlight finishes, and just keep it going.